Everybody, it's Chris and Des Show. I'm
And
Chris,
I'm Des.
and today we're going to talk to you about the film A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, starring Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers.
Absolutely starring Tom Hanks.
Though he's going to be in the supporting actor category this year, and I think nominated for supporting actor because he's Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers. This is the whole
Hello?
reason.
What?
Why would you go see a movie with and not pick out Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers? So Des, what did you think?
I really like this movie. Now, so I like the actual documentary about Mr. Rogers a lot more, but this movie is about one reporter, really. It's about the reporter who was tasked with interviewing Mr. Rogers. And so he kind of has a reputation as a hard-shooting, like, not very nice guy. And he goes to interview Mr. Rogers, and the movie is really about how Mr. Rogers just loves him and affects him with that relationship and that friendship that Mr. Rogers is so open and wanting to have with everybody that he runs across. Because he's a kind man, and the kindness just comes out of him. And so it's a beautiful story about how this other reporter is affected by that. It's really great. And Tom Hanks is the perfect guy to play Mr. Rogers, because you can't fake that behind the eyes stuff. If you don't have that actual kindness behind your eyes, you're not going to be able to act that out. And he absolutely has it and does, and it's so good. I loved it. What did he think?
Des always likes it more and more as she starts reviewing it. She's like,
I
liked it. I loved it.
Because I started thinking about it and feeling it and remembering how much I love that movie.
I didn't love it.
Oh, I loved it.
I liked the movie just fine. But it drags a lot in parts. And when Tom Hanks is not there, you want it to be Tom Hanks to be there.
I was in.
It was an interesting choice to make the movie more about the other guy, because he's a less interesting character than Mr. Rogers, because Mr. Rogers, we all know him and we care about him and we like him and he's kind. Yeah. And I guess you have to see that he's not this way and then he's going to affect him this other way. But it did feel a lot longer than an hour and 49 minutes, because it's not even a 2-hour movie, but it felt a little bit longer than 2 hours for me. And part of that is just... And then when we walked out, I remember asking, we saw it with a group of people. Yeah. And we're asking, like, what'd you think? And then they were like, I liked it. Or, I'm still processing is what one of them said. I'm like, okay, I think that's
fair.
That's the feel of it.
Fair for sure.
Everyone's going to walk out being like, I love Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers, because that, like Des was saying, it was the only person who could play Mr. Rogers is Tom Hanks. That's it. And that part is phenomenal. The movie itself is a little... I think it's the writing, maybe. I think maybe that's what it is. Because I liked...
the guy?
I like Chris Cooper. I like Matthew Rice. I'll call somebody back in a second.
Is Matthew Rice the reporter guy?
Matthew Rice is the reporter guy. Yeah, and he's good, too. And Chris Cooper's good. And I like Wendy McKenna, too, a lot. She is... And Enrico...
He was great.
Colantini as
Mr. Rogers' handler, kind of.
Like,
the
okay, come on.
the show.
And it was just nice to see, like, the inner workings of it. But Des is right. The documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor, is a lot better because it focuses only on Mr. Rogers.
And that's what
Mr.
you
Rogers.
And it's the big actual story.
So here's what I would say. If you only have time to watch one movie about Mr. Rogers, you should watch Won't You Be My Neighbor.
Watch the documentary.
If you really love Mr. Rogers, like Des and I do, granted, you should have done a spoiler alert. Or warning. We love Mr. Rogers. So
we're coming at it.
We're biased 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not you are going to like it because Tom Hanks does a phenomenal job of being Mr. Rogers. And it's nice to see him be kind to every human being. I will say, if you're not a huge Mr. Rogers fan, this is not going to be something you want to watch all the time. That's all I'm gonna say.
That is a good way of putting it. Absolutely,
right. It was good. It was good. It was I didn't not like it wasn't unenjoyable. I enjoyed the movie.
Yes.
I especially enjoyed that performance. I'm so glad I saw that performance, Tom Hanks there. But yeah, if you're like, I don't really know about Mr. Rogers, and you might watch this, I'm like, I don't know if that was my thing. I would say watch Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Yes.
So and bring some tissue because you might cry like Des and I had to be escorted out of the theater. Okay, so that's my summary of it.
There you go.
Yeah, it was good. Okay, bye.